Hello, good evening and warm welcome to Business Live. Coming up in this edition, good news as prices of petrol and diesel are expected to go down between 10 and 8% from Thursday, December 1. We'll hear from the Institute for Energy Security. Also, President of the Insurance Brokers Association of Ghana calls for stakeholder engagement to design affordable micro-insurance products for traders following fire outbreak at Katamanto.
Their farm. So it's a difficult situation for those who are affected by the fire here, with a lot of individuals trying to help them as well with salvaging efforts here.
Plus, financial analyst warns Ghana's economy to face serious consequences following hints that the country's international reserves are under pressure.
Having actual dollars in our account to pay and foreign exposures, we will not be able to do that. So the situation is very, very dire, very, very serious, and it is critical.
We have details of these and many others lined up for you. Please stay. Hello again, I am Pious Kojo Backah, and look now at our stories. Prices of petrol and diesel are expected to go down between 10 and 8% from Thursday, December 1. That's a forecast by the Institute for Energy Security, IES. The price of liquefied petroleum gas is, however, expected to remain stable on account of the depreciation in cedi. Now, the reduction in the prices of petrol and diesel will be the second consecutive period. Let's get on the phone lines and speak to Nana Amwesi VII, who is the Executive Director of the Institute for Energy Security. Good evening, Nana. I'm grateful you could join us on Business Live. Now, what could be the reason for this latest forecast in petrol and diesel prices dropping?
To you, Pious, and to your viewers. The IES did an assessment over the last 2 weeks within the domestic market and on the international market. And we found that on the international market, the price of gasoline dipped by a whopping 13.45%. The price of gas oil also dropped by 11.63%. In our own local domain, although the cedi did not appreciate, the decline in the value was marginal. And so when you combine these fundamentals, you could project and convince yourself that over the next 2 weeks, these variables will impact on the local market positively for consumers.
Now, how significant is the drop? We're looking at the rate between 8 to 10%. How significant is it?
Well, so if you are looking at a 10% drop for, let's say, gasoline, and gasoline price now is going for something around 18 Ghana cedis, then you are expecting some 1 cedi, 80 pesos to be shed off the price per liter for the commodity. For gas oil, you are expecting a drop of roughly 1.5%, 1.5 Ghana cedis, or let's say 1 cedi 50 pesos drop.
All right, so how sustainable is this, especially entering into the Yuletide season?
Well, we can only say it will be sustainable if the price on the international market keeps dropping or stays same, and our own local currency appreciates in value against the US dollar. If these two key fundamentals or variables bodes well for consumers.
All right, so it's quite surprising to see LPG remaining unchanged. What is accounting for that?
Yes, on the international market, the price of LPG dipped by roughly 1.5%. And we are looking at the fall in value of the local currency of more than 1.4%. And these two will net themselves off. That's why we project that the price of LPG will not move, to remain stable.
All right. Thank you very much, Nana Amwesi VII. This is the Executive Director of the Institute for Energy Security, IES, speaking to us on the back of that latest development there. We'll certainly keep an eye on that and keep you posted in our subsequent bulletins. But let's move away from that and touch on this story. And parts of Katamanto market in Accra today have been destroyed by fire. The incident this morning destroyed many goods and shops worth thousands of cedis. Now, it is not clear yet what started the inferno. Our reporter, Michael Ashali, spoke on the marketplace.
Since the time I got here, I can say that the fumes of smoke has rather gotten bigger. The explanation, I'm told, is because the National Fire Service is making some efforts to bring the fire under control. Also, just in case, so that they can work through the thick fumes of smoke, personnel of the Ghana National Fire Service have been equipped with breathing apparatus, including a gas mask. They have this shield that they wear on their head, and then they have their protective attire that they wear as well. So all of this have been given to them so that they can forge into the fire and then make some progress with making sure that the fire is brought under control. What we are currently understand is ground zero, where the fire started. The ground is still very warm, and you can see a mountain, a heap of clothing that has all been burnt down. Now, what we are seeing as well are some individuals who are sifting through the debris, trying to salvage the little that they can hear. It's a lot. Not far from here, there's a fire here. It continues to burn, but we are told that the Ghana National Fire Service is also trying its possible best to bring this fire under control here. While we are ground zero, there are quite a lot of things that you can see. There are tubers of yam. I want to believe that was sold not far from here. So tubers of yam, all charred, cannot be eaten anymore nor sold using any form whatsoever. Not far from here, there's ginger as well, all over the floor. I want to believe that was a ginger shop as well here. And then we'll bring you to Sandra and her mother's shop. They used to sell beans. She tells me they had about 55 bags of beans that they were selling. But since the incident happened, they have lost more than 40 of those. She tells me they've been able to salvage just about 10 bags of it, and this beans cannot be sold on the market anymore. At best, they'll have to sell it to a farmer who will be willing to use it to feed animals, or use it as feed on their farm. So it's a difficult situation for those who are affected by the fire here, with a lot of individuals trying to help them as well with salvaging efforts here. It's a tough situation for many of those who have lost a lot here. In terms of update for the fire, the Ghana National Fire Service earlier told me they deployed 7 tendon machines that will help them to fight the fire, with an additional 2 on its way to join them. They've been working side by side by each other, trying to bring this fire under control. So these are the wreckage. These are all that's left of the fire at Kantamanto.
So my colleague Papani Ashali with that earlier report from Katamanto there. Now let's stay a while longer on this fire incident, because the president of the Insurance Brokers Association of Ghana, Shaibu Ali, is calling for a stakeholder engagement to design affordable micro insurance products and retailers basically, and traders. According to him, this has become necessary to afford traders the opportunity to insure their wares against fires and associated perils. He joins me via Zoom for more on this. Grateful, Mr. Ali, you could join us on Business Live. We know insurance coverage in the informal economy is very low. Now, how do you suggest industry players to design products for traders like those affected at the Katamanto market?
So thank you very much for your call, and a very good evening to all your listeners. I think that, like you rightly put it, the informal sector does not see the need to buy insurance. And oftentimes we wait for something to happen before they start to think about what to do. And this has not been helped by the fact that insurance practitioners have not really put at the doorstep of these people the requisite insurance policies. We sell the traditional insurances that is looking out for big businesses, big corporate businesses with big sums insured that come along with big premiums. But these are people who are selling small stuff on tabletops and small market stalls and sheds. Should we be treating them the same way? I don't think so. I think that the time has come for us to be able to design specific tailor-made policies for these people that would enable them even buy insurance for a day, buy insurance for a week, buy insurance for a month, which would allow them to pay something small for cover. The cover can be for flood, for rain, for theft, and all those things. These things happen a lot. And we know that these people do not have a stable income like the formal sector. So he can decide that this particular time is the rainy season, is the dry season, they are exposed to fires, so let me buy cover. If at another time they don't have money, it is fine. So I think the challenge really lies with us insurance people to come up with specialized policies for them that would enable them to buy insurance as and when they want, as and when they have the premium to pay for it. That is what I believe.
Great. So do you also think that there should be a national policy that will compel these businesses to sign up on such programs or products?
Well, if that would work, it's fine. But oftentimes, people don't like to be compelled to buy stuff. We immediately bring the issue of force in, then people find ways of resisting it. But I think that these are people who are losing their stuff on a regular basis. That should be enough motivation for them to want the cover as much as possible. If there would be that directive for them to all buy insurance, fine, then at least it makes it easier. But if there's no such directive, I think that the fact that your risks are exposed should be enough motivation for you as a market woman or as a man who is trading in the market to buy insurance once the insurance is available.
Great, Shaibu Ali, for your input this evening. He is the president of the Insurance Brokers Association of Ghana, speaking to us on the back of the Katamanto market, bringing basically the insurance touch of the story. Now, moving away from that, the Bank of Ghana has admitted that Ghana's international reserves are under pressure, paying more than $5 billion this year alone to clear some of Ghana's debt and meet other government obligations. Here's Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, making those admissions.
At the end of October 2022, the stock of gross international reserves had declined to 6.7 billion, equivalent to 2.9 months of import cover, compared with the reserve level of 9.7 billion US dollars, 4.3 months of imports at the end of December 2021. Net international reserves, which excludes encumbered assets and petroleum funds, was estimated at 2.8 billion US dollars as of October 2022. The significant decline in reserve buffers arising partly from loss of market access, significant portfolio reversals, rising petroleum product importation bill, market reaction to sovereign downgrades by rating agencies on fiscal concerns, alongside increased foreign exchange demand, exerted intense pressures on the local currency. In the year to November 2022, the Ghana cedi cumulatively depreciated by 54.2%, 48.9%, and 49.9% against the US dollar, the pound, and the euro, respectively. In comparison with the same period of last year, the cedi was much stronger, depreciating by 2.6%, 0.2% against the US dollar and the pound, and appreciated by 6.6% against the euro.
All right, so reacting to this announcement, Associate Professor at Andrews University in the USA, Professor Williams Ripa, said this is going to have serious implications on Ghana's economy going forward. He spoke on the marketplace.
He mentioned that the $2.8 billion of international reserves exclude incumbent and claims, which include petroleum, claims, and other reserves. So in reality, if all the claims become liable, we may have less than $500,000 in our international reserves to be able to pay all our loans. The situation has become very, 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 very bad. Even if you take the net international reserves of 2.8 billion, it gives us 1.2 months of import cover. So we do an analysis with about $400 million purchase of petroleum product in a month. This 1.2 million will only take us within 3 months if we don't get any funds coming in from IMF or elsewhere, all our international reserves in terms of having actual dollars in our account to pay and foreign exposures, we will not be able to do that. So the situation is very, very dire, very, very serious, and it is critical. I'm not surprised that some discussions are ongoing on the gold for crude discussion.
Now, moving on, the Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, is calling on government to conduct a complete review of public sector compensations. The Institute is asking for the revision of the single spine salary structure with a view of reducing disparities to avoid perennial strikes that cause disruptions to academic calendars and economic activities in various fields. Dr. John Kwache is the Director of Research at IEA.
The single spine salary structure as a whole, we think that it needs to be reviewed to reduce the disparities that give rise to perennial strikes. As we're talking, teachers are on strike, others want to join for all kinds of reasons, because everybody complains that they are not being treated fairly. So there's a need to review the entire single spine salary structure, to reduce the disparities and to avoid these perennial strikes which cause disruptions to academic calendars and economic activities.
You're still watching Business Life with me, Pious Kojo Backah, on the Joy News channel. Grateful you could stay on. We are pausing for some break. We'll be right back with more. Please stay. Hello, welcome back. This is still Business Live with me, Pious Kojo Backah. Let me take you back to the Kantamanto Fire incident, because we do understand that the executives of the Ghana Union of Traders Association of Ghana, GUTA, have this afternoon visited the Kantamanto Fire site to ascertain the impact of the inferno on its members affected. Joining us on phone is the Greater Accra Welfare Officer of GUTA, Benjamin Amwa. Grateful, Ben, you could join me on Business Live. Now, you visited the place. What did you see, and what has been the level of impact on your members?
Thank you so much for having me. Anyway, the name is Benjamin Amwa, and I'm the National Welfare. So,
Great.
The impact was quite massive, because, what we saw, the fire was able to really penetrate into a lot of shops. We are still yet to know the number of shops that the fire entered. And there was one other big wholesaler that had clothing in it, and they closed to got bent. So it was quite expensive.
All right. So, how many of your members were affected?
Well, now it's a bit too early to assess how many of them, but we've advised them to remain calm while the data is collected. So I'm sure by tomorrow morning or mid-morning, we should know exactly how many of them were affected. But we are counting to about 20 plus shops. These shops are smaller in size, but about 20 plus. And some of them who had their items in the wholesale too got bent.
All right. So, in circumstances like this, what is the association going to do for these affected members in the interim as they await government support? Well,
definitely we liaise with the authorities. We understand the AMA was there earlier, the Interior Minister too was there. And we met the Greater Accra Chief, Police Chief today. So definitely we'll be liaising with the AMA, Interior Minister, to know exactly what can be done for them. But for now, we would continue to console them and then let them remain calm whilst push to see what we can have government do for them as soon as possible.
All right. Thank you very much, Benjamin Yeboah, for your input this evening on the back of the fire incident. Of course, we do know that some of your members have been affected as a result of that. Away from that, high lending rates, lack of reliable market, and inadequate startup capital, among other things, are what entrepreneurs face when starting up a business. These obstructions discourage the youth from starting their own businesses. Now, to lessen the challenge, the Confederation of Young Entrepreneurs Ghana encourages young people to form partnerships and starting their own businesses.
A good number of businesses in Ghana are owned by foreigners. The few owned by Ghanaians are saddled with so many problems, resulting in their collapse or poor performance compared to the foreign business. According to the Confederation of Young Entrepreneurs Ghana, one way to change the narrative is by partnering with themselves when starting a new business. Pious Kojo, a legal practitioner, explains why.
The shareholders and the company are two distinct entities. They're two distinct. The mere fact that I've invested in the business doesn't mean that I'm the company. The company in itself has the capacity to enter into any contract. It can own assets, it can do business, it can do anything it wants. That company, this one offers signal protection. The second bit is that it allows you to be a sole shareholder. If you want to do it with other people, you're entitled to do so. So it's quite easy to use this one to get a bank loan, get access to credit.
Pious Kojo added that government should put in more efforts to empower the youth in starting their business.
Most of the youth, when you talk to them about why they don't do business, they'll tell you, we don't have the money. The government, in its own wisdom, has the venture capital that ventures, that invest in businesses through certain funds in Ghana that support SMEs. Some of these funds support startups. Some of these funds would also support all advanced stage businesses, and that is not enough. So my view is that the government should increase ways of supporting businesses, not just in the area of just giving tax incentives, but there should be some financial support or for certain priority areas, especially for the youth.
Yemi Adesina, the founder of Boyd Agro Allied Limited, is unhappy that the educational system trains the youth to be employees rather than being employers. He's calling for a change.
I think in Africa, and I think it's British education as a whole for we that are Commonwealth, the way we are taught, we are trained to be an employee. So you have many engineers. During our independent day, we have very few engineers. Our road are not good. Right now, we have many engineers, yet our roads are still not good. Why? Because they have the knowledge. They've been trained to be an engineer, and they believe an engineer is supposed to put the hand in the pocket and wear a shirt and tie and go to work and tell other people how to do work.
The group urges the youth to be ambitious and master their craft. Prince Osu Ansen's report, Red T.
And that's it for Business Live for tonight. I am Pious Kojo Backah. Always a pleasure serving you. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. We leave you with some international business news.